this is Grace and welcome to my channel, and welcome to the June edition of For the Love of Crafting and Sharing Blog Hop. And this time around we have teamed up with the Scraproom Kid Club, and I'm so excited about this. And basically what it is that we will be creating layouts based off of their monthly challenges, whether it's the sketch, the Freaky Fast Friday, the throwback, and the color challenge. And we invite you guys to join in as well, and make sure that you check out the Facebook group for the Scraproom Kit Club. And Rochelle, the owner of the Scraproom Kit Club, will be giving away, or will be picking out a winner from this blog hop to win a, I believe it's flavors of the month kit from her kit club. So I hope that you check out the description below so that you can get more information about that. But if you have been watching me for a while, you know that I used to be part of the design team, and so this is like going back to home for me. I'm so excited to be doing this, and I decided to do the Freaky Fast Friday formula for the month of June. Now this is nothing new that you've seen me before, but I was going to give you a tip before I continue working on this layout. I was going to give you a tip of, if you want to work on the Freaky Fast and you don't want to either maybe cut some papers right away because you don't know if that's going to look good, or that you don't really know what kind of design you want to work with. Because if you haven't heard of the Freaky Fast formula, what it is that you get a certain amount of papers, and this is really great for if you have scraps, and they are cut into specific dimensions or measurements, and you have to work with those measurements as is. Okay, so this time around we are working with 5 pieces of paper, and it is a piece that's a 5 by 12, which is this biggest one, one that's 3 by 9, which is this one right here, and then a 2.5 by 3, which is this block right here, a 1/2 inch by 9, and then a 1/2 inch by 3. So these are the measurements. Of course you can use different kinds of paper. Now back in the day when I would use the Freaky Fast formula and I didn't want to cut my big papers just so I can do this, and I wasn't sure how it's going to turn out, I usually go with my scraps first. And so that's my tip number 1 for you, or actually my main tip in this video, is that if you wanted to work with these kinds of challenges that have specific measurements, but you don't want to cut into papers just yet because you don't know if you're going to commit to that specific paper, that specific measurement, cut down your scraps, because these can be what I consider like templates. You can use them as templates, and then you can, when you're ready, cut the papers exactly the way you want it. Now I just so happens that I just pulled it out of these papers. I just pulled out from my blue scraps, and if you want to see my new storage for scraps, I will make sure to link that in the description box below. But I pulled out all my blue pattern papers and just cut out these papers, and it just so happened that when I matched this with my photos, it actually kind of worked well, because there's some blues in my photos, and then it makes that orange in this orange juice picture pop a lot. So I am actually going to just commit to these papers as is, and I'm going to work on with this. I am going to add some cardstock, and I found that if I add some yellow cardstock, as you can see, the blue pops up against the yellow, and then it will also blend well with that orangey yellow that's on my photo. But I didn't like the way that it looks just as is, so I will be adding some. This is kind of a dark brown, like a chocolate brown cardstock, and I'm going to use that as a matte. Now I don't know what kind of design I'm going to work on yet. All I have are my papers and my photos, and of course I have my journal printed. So I invite you to continue watching this so you can see the process. And again, if you are new to my channel, this is a monthly blog hop that I participate, and I am part of I think we're now 15 women group, or 15 groups of women that are here on YouTube that are participating here. And so I encourage you to check out their links as well. And let's get on to making this layout. All right, so now we are into the creating of this layout. So I'm starting off by, of course, splitting that 2 pieces of photos. I will
I will trim them down to 3 inches long, just because I wanted that to match with that 3-inch blocks of little papers that I have. Now I also pre-cut my part of my title onto my silhouette and using a script font. I honestly forgot what script font it is, so I apologize. If I remember, I will make sure to put that in the description box below. But as you can see, I cut that like kind of not smack in the middle, but kind of in the center of that cardstock piece. And because I'm going to use that cardstock piece as my base, so I wanted the edges of that to, be solid. So that's why I cut that piece there. So that might be something that you want to consider if you want to cut something from your silhouette and you wanted to use a cardstock. You can always cut in the center so you can use the rest of that piece as a card base, or no, sorry, as a layout base for your next layout. So I'm just trimming that piece off, gutting the inside of it. I do usually leave a 2-inch mark all around, just because I feel like that's a safe bet. Although in this case, with the design that I'm going for, I could have gone with just an inch space in all around the frame, but I don't know, it's just habit for me. And then I am also going to trim the yellow piece just slightly, because that will be on top of that brownish, kind of dark brown cardstock, and I wanted that cardstock, of course, to show. So I'm just trimming off just a hair around it, maybe a 1/4 inch on the top and the bottom on one side of it, so that when I put it in, there's 1/8 of an inch all around the piece. So now I'm going to add my papers. If you remember in the video right before this, or in the little clip right before this, I had pre-cut all of my papers to match the Freaky Fast Friday formula for this month for the Scraproom Kit Club. Now, as I was putting this together, I realized that this 3x4 piece of photo needs to be trimmed out just a little bit more, so that it will stay within the confines of that leaf paper. And so I had to trim that down a little bit. So I have to say that this layout, it feels like I didn't have enough photos in here, and the photos are really small. So that's not my usual, that's not my comfort zone. And so that was a little bit hard for me, because I feel like there's a lot of space to fill in. So you're going to see me kind of struggle here a little bit because of that, because I'm trying to see how I can fill that in. But another kind of thing that I wanted to try here, now I'm just, scrapbooking is kind of half documenting, half playing for me. This is my hobby, and I like to try new things. And so one of the things that I wanted to try, which I'm seeing is kind of a trend right now, is the hand stitching on your layout. So I am actually going to try that here. But before I do that, I'm kind of seeing that the piece on the left side needed a border on the other side of that. It just needed something there. And so I'm kind of going through my cardstock pieces and seeing what I can do with that. And I'm going to end up kind of picking some papers here. I think I'm going to use this kind of really navy blue, because it matched the shirt that I'm wearing in the photo. But I will actually scrap that later on too. But you're seeing the process here of how my mind, or how my brain works. And so one of the things that I wanted to try was the stitching. So I'm going to try to do that here with the leaves, and I'm just poking some holes here. Now, I've done some stitching before. This is not the first time that I've ever done it, because stitching on layouts, it's just kind of a trend that came back, because this wasn't the first time that it's been a trend. I do remember back in the day, in the early 2000s, where we even, you can even buy a small, this really tiny sewing machine just for sewing on paper. Let me know in the description box below if you have one of those, if you had or have one of those, because I had one of those, and because I wanted to stitch on my paper, but it was such a pain to get it to set up. And so I ended up just, if I wanted to stitch on my layout. I just hand stitched it, and that was totally fine. So I'm going to show you the finished product. I did not have kind of a dark brown thread or floss to use for this to match the color of the stem for that particular pattern paper, but I did have kind of a slightly, it's a brown. It's not the same brown, but it's a brown. And so it worked out, and I just used that one. And then because I was kind of having a happy time stitching, I was watching a movie on Netflix while I was doing that. I added a border on the left side of the paper instead of the blue cardstock that I was initially thinking. I did add some scallop there, and I have a stencil that had a scallop border, a Fiskars stencil one, and so I used that kind of to mark my design, and then I poked some holes with it and then stitch the scallop design on there. And I'm just inking all of the edges here, and then it's time to adhere everything. And so if you're new to my channel or you're new to the series, I participate in a month. It's a year-long series, but it's every month on the 20th of the month. A group of talented scrapbookers in YouTube and I join together to share some inspiration, and we usually have a prompt. And so with this month, the prompt is that we're sharing the love for one of my specifically favorite scrapbook kits, and that is the Scraproom Kit Club. And basically this is a kit club that offers kind of a tasting of some new collections. They have different kinds of kits. They have the oh, I forgot already. They have the double shots, which is the 2 kits, and then they also have the 4. Oh man, I forgot already. Okay, I remember now. So it is the flavors of the month, and that's 4 different samplings of the latest collections out there. And then they have, of course, the double shots. They also have the card kits, and then they also have the pocket scrapbooking kits. So there's a lot of kits there for you to choose from, a lot of different ones that could match the kind of documenting or paper crafting that you do. So make sure that you check them out. I will have a link to the website in the description box below if you want to check it out. But of course, my favorite one is the flavors of the month, because you get a sampling of some new collections out there. I don't know if you are like me, but sometimes you want to try some new collections out there, but you don't want to commit to the whole collection because there's maybe some papers that you don't really care for, or you just want just a little bit of it just to kind of see if you really want to invest your money on all of the pieces of paper or all of the ephemera. So this is kind of a good way to try them out. And my favorite part is that each of the flavors of the month mini kits have 2 cardstock in each one of them. So it's 2 cardstock, 3 double-sided pattern paper, so you get 6 pieces or 6 designs, and then either a sticker sheet or some embellishments to add to your layout. But again, I like that there's 2 cardstock, because if you know me or if you've been watching me, you know I do double page layouts. So it's really good because when I do want to make a double page layout, I have 2 cardstock that match, that already works to create my layout. Okay, so let's go back to the page. I've adhered everything. I just used my ATG gun. I don't know if I should be using a heavier adhesive for especially the stitched panel, but I'm just adhering that with the ATG. Don't know if it works. Anyways, because I'd cut out my the part of my title, the breakfast word, with my silhouette, I wanted to kind of tuck in these stickers, the rest of my title underneath. But now that I'm looking at it, I kind of cut the F part here. You don't really see the swirly bottom part of the F. So I don't know if I like that, but it's already adhered, and I'm just seeing it now, and it's been a few days since I've created the layout, so it's probably stuck in there, but I think you can still read the word breakfast, right? Even if I cut out the F. I don't know. Let me know in the description box below. But the title would be Breakfast with a View. And basically, these are just pictures of me and my husband. I don't know if you're tired of seeing the pictures from my big California summer trip in 2019, but I'm still plugging along and working on those pictures. And so these are just kind of extra photos from when we were waiting to go through to do our Hearst Castle tour. We got there super early because I wasn't sure if there was going to be a line or there's going to be traffic or whatever. So, and they said that if you can't miss your designated time for your tour. And so I'm kind of anal that way. I don't want to be late for something that I know that it's important for me to be there on time. And so we got there early, and we got there early enough that we were able to have our little breakfast. And so we had some packed egg muffin sandwiches, and then we had some Sunny D because in this trip and the California trip we had our kids, and so they love Sunny D's, and that's the only time that I buy that is when we're on a road trip. And so we had that in a cooler, and so we just kind of looked out. We picked a spot where you can see you have a view, so you can see the water, the ocean, and then you have all of the trees and all that stuff. So it was really a nice morning, and because we were there early enough that there wasn't a lot of people, so it was really peaceful, and it was just me and my husband. So it was a fun kind of little breakfast before our tour. So now I went through, like I said in the beginning, or kind of in the middle of this voiceover, that there was just so much space in the layout. I felt like there was just so much space, and so I felt like I needed to fill that in. So I went through my die cut book, and I pulled out some items that I thought would work well here, and I did pull out a tag, a tab, some circle accents, and then this word today. And so I felt like I could you fill that in there. And so now my title, instead of it being Breakfast with a View, it's Today Breakfast with a View, just because I could and just because I wanted to fill in the space. So I'm tucking those in between my die cut piece, and then I'm adding them underneath the word breakfast. I will be adding a few more flowers here and there, and basically that is my layout. I think I add a few more enamel dots at the end too. That wasn't videotaped, but I will add them, I think, just in the centers of the flowers and a few more here and there. And that's going to be my layout. If you have any questions, make sure that you leave it in the comment section below. Again, this is part of a blog hop or YouTube hop. And so I encourage you to, if you have not checked out the other ladies, please do so. Their links will be in the description box below. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.